5%. I need y'all to understand why this number is becoming one of the most important numbers in the stock market right now. Because while everybody has been watching NVIDIA, AI earnings, the Fed, something has been happening underneath the market surface. Long-term government bond yields have been pushing toward levels that we haven't seen in 20 years. And we talked about this before. It is not just an American problem. Japan, the country Wall Street spent decades borrowing cheap money from, is dealing with its own bond and currency problem. And while the price of money changes around the world, Wall Street is starting to change what it's willing to pay for it. And that's why I don't think we are having a dead AI trade, but I do think the rules of AI have changed because Wall Street is spending money different. And we're sitting in the midterm election year, which historically has been one of the most inconsistent parts of the presidential market cycle. So today, we're gonna connect all the dots because my goal is to help y'all build wealth one share at a time, but understand what's going on. And I'm gonna walk you through some years of market history and what the market says about midterms. And then I'm gonna make this Japan situation so simple, like a 12-year-old can understand it. Then we're gonna talk about why high bond yields can put pressure on expensive growth stocks, because I need y'all to understand this. And finally, I'm gonna show you 3 businesses outside the usual AI names that are actually putting numbers on the board right now. And because sometimes making money in the market isn't about finding the next hot stock, it's about realizing that the game's change before everybody else has noticed. It's your boy, the Wall Street Chopper, man. Make sure you like and subscribe this video. Share it out, man. Help us get to 2,000 likes, man, because that'll really help us get this video and our page back in the algorithm, man. I don't know what's been happening. Let's get to it. Let's go. Let me start with a little bit of history. And because I be wanting y'all to understand what's going on in the market, not just give y'all the quick stocks. I be wanting you to understand what's going on. So before we start reacting to everything that's happening, I want you to understand where we are in the presidential cycle. So it's 2026 is a midterm election year. Now, I don't want you thinking Republican, Democrat, Trump, Congress, none of that. Take the politics out of it. We are investors and we are traders, and we're looking for performance. We're looking for data. That's what we're looking for. And when we look at this historical data set, like something jumps off the stage to me that I want you all to see. You basically got 4 years of a presidential cycle. So you have the post-election year, then you have the midterm election year, which is where we are right now. We have the pre-election year, and then you have the presidential election year. So all 4 years actually have presidential performance. And historically, they've all behaved the same. In the data, we're looking at the post-election year producing an average of about 10% return, right? But the midterm, well, that's about 7.1%. Pre-election, which is next year, averages about 17.8%. In the election year, which is the year where we elect a new president, well, that's about 11.9%. Now, look at something even more important. Don't just look at the average, right? Here's what I want you to do. Look at how often the year was positive. Post-election, 60% of the time. Midterm, 58.3% of the time. Pre-election, 91.7% of the time. In the election year, about 84% of the time. So what's the lesson? Not that you have to sell everything because it's a midterm year. It's not really investing. It's gambling. But the lesson is historically that this portion of the presidential cycle has been less consistent. And I want you to remember something that most people often don't tell y'all. Hear me when I say this. From 1929 through 2025, the data shows that 72 positive years and 26 negative years. That's 73.5 positive. So long-term, the market has rewarded ownership. But the ride ain't smooth, y'all, right? And that's the difference between being an investor and being somebody who just bought the S&P every morning. And investors, we understand that long-term direction and short-term environment can be 2 completely different things. And our short-term environment just got really interesting with Japan. So we got to walk through that because this is a real factor because we've been getting cheap money from Japan for a very long time. Shout out to my Forex traders. You know what you've been doing. So most people hear Japanese yen and they immediately tune out. They don't want to hear it. Don't. I'm going to make it simple for you. Like really, really simple. So for years, Japan had some of the cheapest money in the world, right? Just picture me telling you, I'll loan you some money for almost nothing. Bring that money over here. I'll pay you 4.5%, maybe 8% in stocks. What am I tempted to do? Borrow cheap over here, invest somewhere else at a higher return. That's basically the idea of the carry trade. You borrow money from Japan for lows, 1% or cheaper. You bring it to the stock market in America at 8, 9, 10, 20% for it, and then you pay it back to Japan. We've been doing that for decades. Well, Japan became one of the world's favorite places to borrow cheap money. But now Japan is changing. The Bank of Japan has raised its policy rate to 1%. And Japanese long-term bonds, well, that would have sounded crazy a few years ago. Japan bond market is now repriced. Why? Inflation, government spending, debt, and expectations that Japan might have to keep tightening monetary policy. I mean, keep increasing that from 1 to 1.5 to 2. Now think about the consequences of that. If borrowing in yen ain't nearly as attractive as it used to be, some of these trades, they don't look as good anymore. Money, well, it could get moved. Currencies move. Bonds move. Risk gets repriced. And here's the second part that we gotta understand. America has its own problem. Don't we know it? We already $40 trillion in debt. We're in a war that we shouldn't have been in from the first place. Gas prices are high. The 30-year Treasury bond just hit 5%. And I know some of y'all hit Treasury yield and you glaze over that. So here's the bigger picture. You got two buildings. Building A says, give me your money. I'm the U.S. government, and I'll pay you around 5%. Building B says, give me your money. I'm a stock. My earnings are way out in the future. My price is expensive, and I'm hoping everything goes right. Which building has to work to get your money? Building B. So you go to building A. And that's what higher Treasury yields do. It makes people take money out of the stock market and put it in the Treasury yields. But what happens is now you keep having to raise that yield so it can look attractive. Because the more that people want it, the higher the yields have to go. The higher the yield, the more pressure on the stock market. Now, if the 10-year yield gets to 5, we at 4.7 now, things get pretty sticky for us in America. And that ain't good. America has more than $40 trillion of government debt, and the government consistently needs to refinance old debt. And so now they got to issue new debt. And investors are worried about deficits. Oil, geopolitical pressures, they create more inflation risk. And now you've got a massive corporate borrowing problem, and the everyday people now have to figure that out. So the government wants more money. Companies want more money. Consumers want more money. Everybody wants more money. When demand for capital rises, the price of capital can rise. And the bond market, that shows up through yields. And Treasury yields even stepped in. And that's going to cause a big disturbance. And so now, this is where we are. So let's talk about what we should do next as investors. Hey man, listen, if you're looking for a way to navigate this market, I want you to come join our Patreon community. We do 2 stocks a week that's called lottery picks, where we break these stocks down for you and I give you stock prices based on enterprise value and discount value. So you know what they're worth, and I'll give you full stock prices that you could be looking to get at and prices I'll be looking to get at. Also, you'll be able to get in any trade that I'm in. So I make trades, you get in them, and I walk you through why I get them. I walk through what I see. I walk you through losses, and we win and lose the guy. I'm not gonna act like we 100-0, but we win more than we lose, and we more than anything, my goal is to teach you how to create a system to learn how to trade and navigate these markets. But also when you're looking at the lottery picks, you also can learn how to find great companies. If you're in our top tier, you also get a charting class and a trade audit class once a month, and you get a Q&A. And those help you look at trades you're in. We do a charting class together, and also any questions you have about the market. So if you want to join that, click the link below. It's in the description. It's your boy, the Wall Street Trap, and I want to see you in the trap. I want you to be a certified money printer. Salute. The first thing we got to do is talk about the elephant in the room. Does this kill the AI trade? I mean, it does. We've been seeing AI stocks get beat up. But is it over? Well, I don't think so. I think that's lazy thinking, but the trade can change. And here's what I mean. When interest rates are really, really high, then nobody wants the AI because they want to protect their money. When interest rates are extremely low, Wall Street is willing to pay a lot for earnings that might show up years from now. Why? Because there's not much competition for money. But when government bonds are giving investors 5%, now they have somewhere else to get their money. And so the only way that America can keep financing and refinancing the debt, they got to keep on raising those bond yields up. And as they do that, that now becomes a tug of war. And at the end of the day, everybody wants safe money. So why would I pay 40, 50, 60 times for earnings that's going to come years down the line when I can get 5% right now? So let's talk about where the money has moved at and where I see great opportunity for us to make money right now while Wall Street figures that out. So first I'll start with the company Moderna. I'm not saying that's where the money is. What I am saying, we saw that stock go crazy yesterday. And at one point, the stock was up 160% in one day. But I want to make something clear. That wasn't Wall Street one day just waking up and deciding this is what we want to go at. We don't like AI anymore, or we like biotech now more. I don't think that is the case. It was a catalyst. Moderna and Merck. Man, I got out of my Merck option 2 weeks ago. Crazy. I would have went crazy off that one. They come up with an idea that realized that they could come together and have a cure for cancer. Well, that is biotech. And that matters because that could be what AI is at right now. Speeding up cancer cures. Because Wall Street understands that this information contains technology, and that's the lesson. Money doesn't only move because of sectors. Money moves toward new information, better earnings, better guidance, new products. Hear me when I say this. Clinical breakthroughs. That's the game changer because that improves margins and that gives companies competitive advantages. So instead of chasing Moderna after a monster move, I want you to ask yourself a better question. What business outside of the obvious AI trade are already showing some strong fundamentals? And I found 3 of them that I think we should really look at. Not blindly buying, but studying and watching them and kind of seeing what's really going on with this game, and then how can we actually improve and make some money? So get your pen and your pad because we're going to walk through these really, really good. So the first company on the list is Quest Diagnostics, ticker symbol DGX. You probably know this company even if you don't know the stock. Quest Diagnostics. You go to your doctor needs blood work, you need testing, you need any type of diagnostics. Quest is one of the companies sitting behind that process. Now, here's how I want you to look at this business from a picture perspective. Quest is basically an information factory for healthcare when we think about it, right? Samples come in, testing happens, information comes out, and the information helps doctors make a decision. That's a beautiful business to study because healthcare doesn't stop because NVIDIA had a bad week. People still get sick, people still need testing, and doctors still need answers. Now, let's put numbers behind it so it can all make sense. Last quarter, Quest produced $3 billion in revenue. That's roughly up 10% year over year. And almost all of that growth was organic. So adjusted earnings per share was about $3.12, up about 19%. And that's what catching my attention. Revenue was up 10%, adjusted earnings was up 19%. And I want y'all to understand what that tells me. The bottom line is growing faster than the top line. Bingo. Management also raised full-year guidance. They now expect roughly about $11.9 billion to $12 billion in the year. Now, what's interesting about this company is advanced diagnostics, cancer testing, Alzheimer's blood testing, cardio testing, and direct-to-consumer health testing. That puts them in a different category, but also as the catalyst to all of these testings that's going to be done once all these cures and these phase 3 drugs come out from medical. Company number 2 is Veeva Systems, VEEV. Now, this one is completely different. Veeva doesn't make drugs, they sell the software that helps pharmaceuticals and biotech companies run their business. Picture Salesforce, but specifically built for science. Drug companies have clinical trials and regulations and safety reporting and quality control and customer relationships, massive amounts of data. Viva builds software to help manage all of that. And that what creates the moat. Now, because of a pharmaceutical company builds important workflows around software and switching, it's not like changing Netflix or Hulu. Like, you have data, compliance, employee training, regulatory processes, you have business operations, you have changing becomes expensive and disruptive. And now look at the last numbers. Viva's first quarter revenue was approximately 883 million, up 16% year over year. Subscription revenue, 730 million, up 15% year over year. And subscriptions is what I love seeing when I come to a software company, because software needs that. Subscriptions mean recurring revenue. And you wake up the next quarter, a larger portion of the business doesn't have to start from zero. And I like that. Now, here's another thing. They aren't running away from AI. They're actually integrating AI into their life sciences. Vault AI, Veeva, Falcon, and Agentic CRM. This gives them a different way to participate in AI. Not who sells another GPU, but hear me when I say this, who helps an entire industry use AI inside its workflow. That's the second layer of AI trade. And at the end of the last quarter, Veeva said approximately 7.3 billion in cash and short-term investments. That's a fortress. But again, Veeva trades like a quality growth company. Higher rates can pressure multiple investors that are willing to pay. But think about it. They tie in to what Wall Street is not rewarding. And last on the list is Matson. Now, this one is outside of what y'all hear me talking about on this one. Matson, MATX, this company moves stuff, literally ocean transportation and logistics. Now, the reason why this one is important because we still at war in Iran, and this is getting real critical over here. So Hawaii, Alaska, Guam, and premium expected ships from China into Long Beach. So think about the economy like a human body. Technology might be the brain, 100%, but energy might be the blood. But transportation is the circulatory system, because none of this stuff matters if products can't get to where they got to go at. And Matson just put up a strong quarter. Second revenue was approximately 969 million compared to 831 million last year. Net income was about 129 million versus 95 million. Earnings per share jumped from 292 to 427, and operating income went from 113 to 159. That's growth. Management did tell us that their strongest quarter to date, and they are improving operations in China. Plus, they raised full-year guidance. Now, this company isn't there because Japan bond yields went up. I want to be very clear about that. It's here because we're looking for businesses that are producing strong results outside of the crowded names. And Matson has specialized in that route. Infrastructure, routes, ships, customer relationships, and important transportation lanes that aren't easy for somebody to recreate tomorrow. But shipping is cyclical. Trade volume matters, China matters, freight rates matter, fuel matters, geopolitics matters. A great quarter doesn't make those risks disappear. And for a new investor, remember, Matson is selling transportation capacity on a strategically important Pacific route. And right now, capacity is producing stronger earnings. So I want to just tie it all together for you. When we talk about Quest Diagnostics, we talking about blood work getting done, because we see that the healthcare industry is exploding, and these are the type of things that are going to be necessary. So more trials get done, more testing has to get done. Veeva System, because they are like the CRM for all of these medical companies, so they're needed. And then Matson, because everything that's going on in Iran is now making shipping ways really, really strict. It's about understanding the environment that the companies are operating in. We're in a midterm year that historically has less consistent than any other portion of the presidential cycle. And so I just want to give y'all some companies so you don't get so frustrated about technology and understand that the market is our way to build wealth. Do me a favor and share this out to anybody that you feel needs to learn about this. It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper. Salute.